Hi everyone, I'm John deBary and welcome back to a non-alcoholic edition of Drink What You Want. I'm here today to show you all how to make the Pluot Pop, which is a very super fun, really kind of complex, but secretly very simple non-alcoholic drink that features pluots, which is my favorite stone fruit. I know I have a lot of love for pineapples and other fruits, but of the stone fruits, pluots is the supreme to me. It is a hybrid of apricots and plums, and it just combines the best of both worlds. I don't have time for other stone fruits, so this is what we're gonna do, and I love it. And I'm just gonna show you how to make this very simple syrup that you can then keep, freeze, refrigerate for months on end and be able to bust out this drink whenever you feel like it. So it's a great way to capture the end of summer, back to school, kind of late summer, clinging on to like what's left of it, kind of emotions. Keep it in your refrigerator, and you can have this drink all year round if you play your cards right. And if you're so inclined, you can also add some alcohol to it and make it a little fun, like more of an adult drink. So let's get started. But first, we need to cut up some pluots. And I have a trick, it doesn't always work, but if you take it by it's like the butt crack in the thing and you twist, you can get like most of it out and you can just hit it pretty easily. So yeah, that worked. They don't need to be pretty when you cut them, they're gonna fall apart pretty intensely. The drink ends up having this very vibrant kind of red, purple motif that I think is really awesome and hard to capture with other methods. So using the fresh fruit and stewing it is pretty key. You'll notice that I'm making a syrup and I'm not making a syrup in the blender. This is a time when you don't, when a blender actually isn't a good idea for this because you want to cook the fruit a little bit. There's a lot of juice that's stored in the cells of the fruit. And if you're just blending it, it doesn't destroy the cell walls enough. So you're kind of not unlocking all the goodness. Whereas if you heat them up, then those like bonds chemically just break apart. So you're actually getting a lot better extraction and a really nice texture. And also with the heat, it can sort of even out some like varying degrees of ripeness. So like if you have one that's like not super ripe, then it won't have a huge impact on the overall thing because you're using the heat to kind of unlock everything and even out the texture. So that's another thing why you want to use heat in this case and not a blender. And the next step is to just put all of the dry spices in the bottom of the pan for like it's literally the lowest setting you have on your stove. And then some of you who are more steeped in cocktail spirits knowledge might notice some similarities between the spice blends that I'm using here and gin. And that's not an accident. I wanted to recreate that kind of gin flavor because later on it'll come into play. And when you're making a non-alcoholic drink, you need to use a lot of flavor and a lot of cool textures to be able to create that level of interestingness that you would get from a drink that has alcohol in it. And then rather than using alcohol as a base, for these flavors, the way gin uses, alcohol to carry the cardamom and juniper flavor to you, we're using sugar and we're using fruit. So, well, sugar in both cases. So the next step is to pour a half cup of honey into the spices. And then pretty quickly, you want to start throwing in your pluots. And if you don't have access to pluots, you can use other stone fruit. I feel like plums would definitely work. You could use a blend, probably not peaches. I don't know, I don't have time for peaches. I can't deal. So if you have access to other stone fruit, by all means, go for it. All right, so we're gonna let this sit and stew for like 30 minutes. And 30 minutes later, we are back and our Pluot Elixir is looking really nice and soft and gooey and everything is just all really fragrant. And then you want to let it chill, not chill, but cool completely covered. So that way you have the maximum infusion into the sugar and the water that you're getting from the spices and from the fruit. So once you're done cooking it, just turn off the heat, just leave it alone for 30 minutes at least-ish, just to get cool. and then you're ready to go. Now that our elixir is cool, it is time to strain it using my second favorite kitchen tool, the gold coffee strainer. You can use a sieve of other kind if you don't have this, but to me this is definitely the gold standard. Don't get that. So it definitely takes a little bit of persistence and patience to get this all strained out, but once you're done, it should give you about a half cup of the elixir that you'll use for the drink. This stuff, you can either use it immediately, you can put it in the refrigerator, you can put it in a freezer to keep for long term. And then also this goo is really good on toast or I don't know, it's a great little topping for stuff. It has a lot of all the seeds and stuff are soft, so you'll have a little crunch there, but it's definitely a nice little jam, mostarda. I don't even know what the word is, but it's good and you should keep it and use it. So when it comes time to making this drink, it's pretty simple to put together, but before we do that, I wanted to give you a quick and easy tutorial on how to make lime wedge and also talk a little bit about why you would use a lime wedge as opposed to a wheel or a peel or something like that. So first I'm going to show you how to cut a lime so that it will perch perfectly on your glass and it will squeeze nicely when you're drinking. So first step you want to do is you want to give your lime a nice wash so it's clean and there's nothing waxy or disgusting on the outside. So the first step is cut the ends off. Cut the whole thing in half. And then you want to cut a sort of a thing like that. And then give yourself, I don't know, I like to do 3 cuts per half. And then you see sometimes there's just nice edges here, but if there's a little bit of you want to just clean it up a little bit. And then see, because you made that little cut, you have the thing that can perch perfectly on your glass. And the reason why you would give someone a wedge is because you want to give someone the ability, the option, the liberty, the freedom, empower them to add extra acidity to their drink after they've had it. So like a gin and tonic, if you wanted it a little sweeter or whatever, maybe you would just leave the lime wedge alone, put it down. But if you want that extra acidity, your drinker or you have the option to just give it a squeeze and go. And because you've cut the ends off, it has a nice softness to it, so you can just squeeze it very easily and it's not gonna flip out or do whatever in your guest's hands. So that's the story of the lime wedge. So now that you got your lime wedge prepared, if you're using large, nice ice cubes or spheres in this case, you wanna give them 5-10 minutes to warm up, otherwise you'll shock them by pouring the relatively warmer stuff over it and you've got the crack in the ice that you don't want. So if you have big cubes or bigger spheres like this, we're gonna give them a minute to temper out, and this, you can see it's kind of slick and definitely ready to go. And probably putting, yeah, that looks good. I also feel like I've mentioned this before, but maybe I haven't. It's the concept of the soda sandwich. So if you're making a drink with a Collins drink, a long drink with a sparkling ingredient, I like to pour a little bit in the bottom. And then you're gonna pour the rest of your ingredients, which in this case is just 2 ounces of the Pluot Elixir. And then top the rest with soda. That way it kind of gives you a pre-mixed vibe a little bit, so you're not overly agitating when it comes time to stir it to get it to go. But it's kind of one of my fussy things that I guess is important, but probably ultimately isn't that important. And then you just got your little lime wedge here, and there's your Pluot Pop. All right, so I love an acid in my drink, so I'm gonna do this wedge. Give it a stir. Oh yeah. So yeah, the botanicals really come through. It has a nice kind of adult vibe, even though it doesn't have any alcohol in it. If you would like to add alcohol to it, I think some good additions. Obviously vodka is really easy to do because it just goes with everything. Even some tequila, some pisco, white rum, you can play around. But yeah, that's the Pluot Pop, and I hope you enjoy it and come back next month for something spooky. But before that, subscribe, like this video, tell your friends, and leave a nice comment. Okay, bye.